First check your handpiece, everything is working. This is the central pit. Okay, I'll prepare a pit slightly away in the mesial box, and I have to check the depth. So this is a 1.5 because it's a 3 milli length burr, so I'll go half. So I go half inside. Now this is the punch groove, or the punch I did, the initial. So it's slightly away from the central pit.
Around
With the
245.
245, yes, 245 burr. Okay. At this point, it's better to use 330 burr. What is the advantage of 330 burr here? That 330 burr is basically convergent towards the occlusal. This is not a 330 burr, but anyways, it's a large one. A 330 burr has a small blade comparable to this one. It is like 3 milli. It is almost 2 or 1.5 milli. So when you go inside, it's just like this inverted cone burr. It is more or less like this burr, but this is too convergent. It's too much convergent. Okay, that one is not the 330. You place the 330 burr and you go and prepare the outline form. What is the advantage? As it is already convergent towards the occlusal, when you prepare it, you don't need to further converge your occlusal cavity, or you don't need to angulate your handpiece while you are cutting the cavity. This is the biggest advantage. It automatically creates. And we know for amalgam restoration we need a convergent occlusal cavity so that it retains the amalgam inside. Okay. Now we will slightly go towards the center. We are not going towards the mesial, right? Just keep the burr perpendicular to the long axis, parallel to the long axis. I will be using this again and again, so better keep it here. And now extend it into the buccal groove. But always keep the depth constant. Now you can check your cavity. Check the cavity after each step so that if there is any minor mistakes or any minor changes you want to do, this is the time. When you cut all of it, then it's difficult to remove the abnormalities. Now when you are done with just check the depth again, whether it's constant all around or not. And then you go slowly towards the mesial. Remember that convenience form is very important. You know what is convenience form. At the end you have to see in this situation that your hand condenser is going inside the cavity for amalgam condensation or not. If it is not going, then your preservative or conservative restoration technique or a preparation is not going to work. You cannot restore it. So that's the problem. Okay. So you see the diameter of the if you can see the diameter or the buccolingual dimension of the cavity is very ideal. It's just the dimension slightly of the diameter of the burr, or slightly a little more than that. This is very ideal, but unfortunately if you don't have a condenser to condense it, then it's of no use. Okay, so I'll prepare the ideal cavity for now, and then you can slightly move towards the more. Again check the depth, whether your depth is at the same. So if the depth is the same all over, it means your pulpal floor is automatically flat. Okay, so at the end you will not come back to the occlusal part to do some corrections again. You are done with that, move on to the mesial surface. In the mesial, always remember Most of the students, they come straight and then they cut like this and that. In this situation or in this scenario, most of the students do what? They cut half of the cusp, and that's least conservative. So come around the cusps, okay, in a beautiful curve. Yes, within the fissures. You will remove the fissures. You see the mesobuccal cusp here. I come around the cusp. I didn't cut through it. If you cut through it, then yes, you cannot reverse that then. Then again, you go slightly towards the, always use brushing movements, more conservative. Just go into the, keep the pulpal floor the same, 1.5 milli. Do not go deeper, okay? Even if you reach into the mesial margin ridge, do not go deeper. Because if you go deeper, you will lose your dimensions. If you go deeper here, 1.5 milli more, then you have to look for the remaining margin ridge, as well as you have to look for the axial wall. So both these things, controlling at one point with the stroke of a burr is very difficult for beginners, even for the experts. So try to remove the ridge first and then come to the final class 2 cavity. Again, slowly and steadily. Now the biggest advantage of cutting it slowly is what? I know there is a remaining enamel available for the margin ridge. So I am not afraid of cutting the adjacent tooth or making a niche. Even a slight niche into the adjacent tooth will make a significant decrease in your marks. It's very important to remember.
And make the caries.
Caries is the long thing, but at that time you need an assessment, a good assessment, and you will lose that. So this is the enamel hatchet actually. We'll try to, at this point, if this is sharp, we can remove this very easily with the help of this hatchet. You see, it's gone. So the hand instruments are really effective, although it's a little sharp, which is to my surprise. But so you removed it. You have to remove the contact, and we all know that it's slightly buccal in the posterior teeth, the contacts, okay? So we'll go slightly. And then now this area is very important. You have removed the margin ridge. Now your tooth is exposed directly. So if you use this area or use your handpiece, which is a high-speed handpiece, carelessly, this is the point now that you will run over and damage some of the adjacent enamel. Okay, so in this area, in this time, in this situation, it's very important to work very carefully. Remove a little, check again. Remove a little, then check again. It depends upon how much you damaged it. If you cross the enamel and you go inside into the dentine, this is the worst case scenario. You have to restore it. Okay? Or if you just brush the enamel, then fluoride treatment would be, that is all it is required.
It's not going to be continuous, right?
Yes. If it's intra-enamel, then usually fluoride treatment is that's all what is required. Now I'm going to prepare an S-curve, a slight S-curve if you see in the buccal cavo surface margin. Okay.
This one is it?
Yes, it's all connected to as one, so it is called an S curve. This is not there in the maxillary, in the mandibular. So I have prepared some. So you can see how my handpiece speed is. It's very slow. It's less than 50% of the total speed which the handpiece can run. But I'm using it
To make what
to make very conservative little changes in the cavity. This is the final shape of the cavity, so you have to keep your handpiece very slow. See, it's 30% of the total. This is the fastest. And you see this is this. It's almost 30 to 40%.
I noticed you didn't use the whole tank, the whole 100% power.
What?
You use it very slowly when you work.
I
Is
love
it
to use
better?
it slowly.
Is it better?
Yes, more conservative. One, you are in control. You are in control. Okay.
So you're not pressing very hard.
No. It just leave the burr to cut by itself. Do not push it to curve. Allow it to curve. Don't push it. If you push it, you will, because it's, the more you press hard, the more you are out of control.
Then you go.
Yes, you will not have the sensitivity where it is. It's actually cutting where it's in the air. The more it is faster. Ideally, we should have a slow handpiece with the burrs. So it is more in control of the tactile sensations will be there. But high speed handpiece it's very difficult to control. Okay. So what can you do? You can make a movement of a slow handpiece. Keep it slow, 30 to 40% of the total power, and use it. Take your time. Okay. If you have given 1 hour, usually in any exam, if you go to Canada or America or wherever, or Australia, he will give you about 1 hour for this. And it will take about 20 minutes to prepare with this speed. And another 10 minutes to assess everything using the hand instruments and finalizing the angles and everything. So in total, how much? 20 plus 10?
Yes.
Yeah. So you will have a spare of 20 to 30 minutes. So, okay. So just take your time. It's not a rush anywhere. So this is basically now the occlusal and the proximal parts are prepared. The depth is 1.5. Now we have to prepare the gingival box. So the gingival box dimension should be a full diameter 345 burr, 245 burr, or just 1.5. Okay, so it should be 0.8 to 1.5, not more than that. While you are going deeper into the gingival floor, you are actually preparing what? When you go deeper and making a gingival floor, you are actually preparing what? And
axial.
You are making an axial wall actually. Because when you go deeper, the sides of the blade are making what? They are making axial wall. Okay, so it should be slightly radial, is the outer shape of the tooth, and it should be slightly tilted. It should not be straight and it should not be acute. Now you go in this area, you check all around, and you will go slightly into the in the periphery of the area. In the periphery. There. There is some instructors' variations in the depth of the cavity. Some people keep it a bit more deeper, some people are not making it too deeper, but both are correct. Some make it 1.5 deeper than the pulpal floor, some make it 1 millimeter deeper, so both are correct, so we will not go into that. But the dimension, the axial wall placement is important, where to place it. So we will check it again to find what's going on actually. You can use the margin trimmer, the gingival. It's a very useful, but this is the, it's, if you see the blade, it's going like this. Okay, there is another blade on the mesial which is used for the mesial. It goes like inside. So you see, this is for the distal side.
This is mesial.
No, both are the same. There is another instrument for that. So we will remove some of the niches that has been left over with the handpiece, because with the handpiece it's going to be a very, you can say you lose the tactile sensations and you lose the actual sight. You cannot see, you do it just by guesswork. So it's better to do it with a hand instrument. It's more controlled. You go into the gingival floor and you remove the rest. So it is working. I think it is satisfactory for me. It's removing some of the parts, so that's good. I like it, although it is not sharp, but yes. So all the sharp edges.
But take the more time for.
I'll give you the, like, whichever time, the whole time in the world. Okay, no problem. Time is not the issue. The issue is the quality of the work. That's very important. So remove all the problematic areas. Okay, smooth the walls here and there. Okay. And there is another important work that you have to do before you finish the cavity. What is that? The final finishing will include what? Smoothing. I did it. Rest. Another. Check the condenser. Another one. Okay. I will check it for the convenience. I know it is not convenient.
Asmus in the center.
You see? You see? The convenience form is not good in the occlusal, so we can made it a bit bigger, but I don't like bigger cavities. So, okay, we consider it as convenient. Another important point which we need for a class 2 cavity, it's exclusive for a class 2, in the finishing of cavities. What is that important point? I just want you to tell me. In the finishing, final finishing of the cavity, what important step we have to do in the last, before the convenience?
Check the depth.
Check the depth. Okay, I checked the depth. When I was doing it, I know that where my burr is, so I already know what is the depth of the occlusal part and what is the depth of the proximal. Sharpness of what? Okay.
Around it of the wall.
Which wall?
Axial wall.
The axiopulpal line angle. It's very important to bevel it. If you do not bevel it, what will happen? I told you always, there will be a fracture between the proximal part of the filling and the occlusal part. Patient will come to you with 2 teeth, with 2 fillings. In between there will be a crack. So always bevel it up so that the tension areas, the sharpness will create tension in that area, and it will create the fracture.
Is there a specific block for the
Yes. When you come to the pulpal floor and when you go deeper into the gingival floor, the connection between the two is the axiopulpal line angle.
Is there a specific block for the
Burr. Usually in experienced hands we use the longer blade side by cutting it like this, okay, slightly. But obviously it's a high speed, so less control. You can use enamel hatchet or you can use gingival margin trimmer. Whichever is accessible, whichever is sharp, and whichever is in control. Important. I prefer to use the enamel hatchet. So I'll just place it on top of it and will slightly bevel it.
This is the corner between the pulpal floor.
Yeah, this is pulpal floor and this is gingival floor. and this is the connection between the two. So this is the angle. You know the line angle, which is connecting two. So this is the line angle. So we will have to bevel it up. Okay. Some people, and you can say it is a principle, that the gingival floor, the cavo surface margin of the gingival floor is also going to be beveled. And only instrument which you can use and which is permissible is the gingival margin trimmer. You cannot use a burr on the gingival cavo surface margin to make a bevel. You will definitely remove some of the tooth structure from the adjacent tooth. It's too deep, it's invisible from the eyes, and you cannot guess. It's a dangerous place to guess in that area. Okay, so always use a gingival margin trimmer at that with a proper angle. Okay, so it will create a margin.
So the idea of beveling is to make the pressure rest on a flat area?
No, the idea of beveling in the axiopulpal line angle is what you have said. But at the gingival floor, it just coincides with the enamel rod's dimension.
Yeah.
Okay, so weak enamel rods should be removed at that area. Now check out again your cavity and everything. If you need any final finishing or touches, you can do at that time, and then you are done. Check the depth. It should be uniform all around. Slightly converge it. As I told you, if we have a 330 burr, then it will be much easier. Keep it straight on the oblique ridge. And do the final finishing with the help of remove all the extra pieces and everything. This is what I told you, when you try to present the case to the examiner, it should be clean all around. Do not keep the extra particles that have been removed with the hand instrument be there. Okay, if it is there, it gives a bad impression. So always clean it up. Check if there are any small nudges and there and here, and then you can present. So this is the final shape. Try to translate this or copy this.